All right. Hi, everyone. It's Shannon, and just checking here to make sure that the camera in the right position. It's a little bit, all right. Oh, the lighting's a little funny, but it's good to see you. It's so good to be here live today. It is Wednesday, and today this is the Goddess Report. I'm Shannon Port, and today we are going to be talking about, it's a continuation of the last video, and we'll be talking about the state of the world, of course, because of everything that we are all being exposed to, and just the energy on the planet right now is so heightened and so vital and so ripe for our creative power and awakening. So we'll be talking about that. And I'm going to bring in some divine feminine astrology. And so, as you know, I work with the Archetypal Wisdom, and it comes through in the astrology. And so we're going to look at the Libra new supermoon that's happening on October 16th. So it's happening on the 16th. We have some tower energy there, and it's a very intense alignment. And so I like to use astrology to work with the archetypes and have it just reveal to us a message that kind of helps us to sort out what's happening in the world, and perhaps even within our own consciousness, because that's what the archetypal wisdom in the astrological weather is really meant to do. It's meant to show us where the collective is at and what the energies are that we have to work with. And so I actually set a timer today. I'm going to try to make this a shorter video, but I'll tell you what we're going to cover. So as I promised, I'm going to look at the politics of the goddess and the metaphysics of right and left. The metaphysics of right and left, as I have been working with them for many, many years, and I'm going to share some of this. Now, remember, it's archetypal wisdom, so I'm not meaning to cast titles or, project energies onto people who might have perhaps a right or left identification in their politic. But we are going to look at some of the archetypes that rule those, and then we're going to bring it into the politics of the goddess, because the politics of the goddess are the politics of balance and equilibrium in order to produce creative power. I'm just looking in and checking to see if anybody is here with me live. If you're on live and you want to put a little note in the chat to let me know that you can, that you're getting the stream. Okay, I see there are some people. Yay, good to see you. So we're going to do that. And then I have a little download, a Libra download, the Libra archetype. I just want to say this. This is the Goddess Report. And so we look at what's happening through the lens of the divine feminine and through the lens of what we call the wisdom. This platform is about using archetypal wisdom and what I call in my work the divine feminine wisdom to understand our creative power. And so Libra is one of the most potent archetypes of this energy. Libra, to me, is the heart. Libra is governed by Venus, and that's why it's such a great time to bring this in. The election, oh my God. In the US, we have an election coming up, and it's going to be it's really intense energy. I'll just start out by saying Mercury station retrograde. That means things like counting and data and statistics are going to be challenged. And we kind of have an idea that, just because of all the hype leading up to it. We also have really some challenging aspects here that are very grindy and very much kind of aggravating the status of our patriarchal institutions and of the power of war and greed and the the ability to project those things, which is represented in Aries with Mars retrograde. And then we have just all kinds of activity happening and being squared in Capricorn. And so Libra represents our power to be artists of our own reality through balance and through understanding or wisdom. Saturn is exalted in Libra. Think about that. Saturn, we think about Saturn as being such a fierce, energy that can really take us out when it catches us off guard, and when we're not on track in our own journey. Saturn can really pull a fast one on us and make us pay, meaning it contracts, and so it really brings into reality what our inner experience is. And so when we're experiencing turmoil and discord on the inside, things densify into reality through the power of Saturn. It also shows us the power of our choices from the past. It works in cycles. And so Saturn likes Libra, and that's saying a lot. Saturn likes Libra because Saturn can manifest positively through Libra. And so I'm going to read a little bit, trying to decide. Maybe I'll look at, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read what I wrote, and then we'll look at the politics of the left and the right through an archetypal lens. And I'm really excited to do that. This will be part one of that discussion. So, all right. Libra teaches us about wisdom. And by the way, thank you for letting me know you're on. I see a few people. Hola to you too. And nice to see you. Nice to see you. So Libra teaches us about wisdom. The deep meaning of the sign of Libra is the heart. It's a very esoteric meaning that Libra really represents the power of the heart, the combination of love and wisdom expressed. Libra, ruled by Venus, the goddess, teaches us about the highest form of love, which is wisdom. All love is potent and powerful. Love is the creative force. It's really the only force, and it works through desire. So love is always working on a spectrum, but the highest form of love is when our love is brought into wisdom. Wisdom is Sophia, and I talk about this a lot, but Sophia, the goddess of all creation, the mother, the artist, the scientist, the philosopher, the doctor, the judge, the lawyer, the high priest and high priestess, the great athlete, all of anything you can think of, the father, anything you can think of in creation, that's Sophia expressing herself. So we all fall under this creative power being channeled and used for a specific divine expression of this God power, this goddess power. Without wisdom, we fall. And you've heard of the fall of the wisdom goddess, which is us. Without wisdom, we fall. The lower animal, carnal appetites get the best of us every time. And we talked a lot about that in the last video. We talked about the lower chakras and how they represent the real animal human, our carnal desires, and how without wisdom, it's a free-for-all. All is fair in love and war when we're working with the lower. There is no law. It's lawless. And that's why we see a lot of lawlessness in our world. But Libra is justice. She's the power of the law, really. Libra is the great power of the true law and truth. We speak so we fall when they get the best of us. We speak without her, meaning wisdom. We create without her, without wisdom. We give birth without her. We mate without her. When we look into the world at this time, we may see a fallen world. We are at the end of a great cycle. And I just want to say that this isn't to be negative, but everyone is impacted right now. Everyone is so impacted right now. So this is, if you're drawn to this wisdom, this isn't the only wisdom, but if you're drawn to it, this is a time to empower, to self-empower. This is the whole message of Libra. And we're going to talk about how. Or at the end of a great cycle, and the mirror, I want to tell you something. Mirror is an archetype of Libra. Libra is the number 11 in the archetypes. 1-1. 1-1. What do you see when you see a 1-1 and 11? It's a perfect mirror. So Libra, it's no coincidence. The sign of her number is a 1-1. It's also 1-1, two magicians. that we need to have our focus and our power and our discernment on to work with a force like Libra that is that's you find Saturn exalted. That means it's a great force, and it means there's got to be a lot of discernment and power in order to balance. 1-1 is also balance. We see the scales is the archetype of Libra. So these are keys. These are big keys. The mirror is showing us many things at this time. So it's wise to observe and look at it and see where it affects you, where it makes you passionate or triggered or angry or creative. Our individual and collective karma are imprinted on the outer image. And so what karma means is our projections, our lessons, our learning, our collective decisions, our individual decisions. This is what the projection of that mirror is. That's why Libra is the artist. What we create internally and in our energetic relationships becomes the world we live in. Think about the world we live in. It's amazing. So, in the collective, and it gives a lot of clues. Much of what we see is empty, shallow, chaotic noise, lacking the wisdom of the goddess. And that's why this is called the Goddess Report. We're here to try to birth that and bring that forward and awaken it in humanity. There's a lot of people working with it now, and it's very powerful. It's okay. It's okay. Creation is infinite, but this moment is always an opportunity to choose her and learn from her and to create the image rather than be ruled by the image. Now, there's a couple things I'm going to that are really big. I'm going to hopefully get to all of this. At the end, I'm going to do one of the secrets of Libra, one of the secrets of how to create the image, and we're going to do 3 Libra gifts as soon as I'm done with this. How to create the image rather than be ruled by the image. The lower level rulership of this world, the lower level rulership from this world is cut off from wisdom and divine love. It's part of the program. In the end of this software, the beast takes hold, if you know what I'm talking about. It's happened before, and that's how we know the script. In the end of the program, the beast has a full hold on humanity in this timeline, in this program. And it's happened before, and we know it. It's already a program that we've run before. And so the journey is to wake up and see it. We don't have to choose it, but individually, we don't have to choose it. And that's the good news. If you're feeling just absolutely just overwhelmed and overcome with what you see happening in the outer world, this is going to be about taking it back, making your choice for a different outcome, and then working from there. Start with your own sphere, which is all we ever really have the most divine power over, and then projecting that image into reality. Okay, the Akashic record holds the movies of this level of thought and level of love, and we are at the stage where the beast, which is technology, by the way, 666, takes hold, takes over. And so that's one of the great things that we're seeing happen right now. And we can talk a little bit about that, but so Libra is actually, it's not the 11th sign. In the zodiac, Libra is the 7th sign. So in the zodiac, Libra is the 7th sign. So it's the house of partnership and relationship. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the 3 things that we can do right now to empower. But when I say 11, I mean Libra is justice in the archetypes and the arcana. And so justice is 11. It works with 8 as well, but it's 11. 11 is the primary number of justice. So, all right. And I don't mean to be a downer talking about 666 and the beast, but that's what it is. I mean, that's what technology is. And it's in the coding. Even though people don't understand, even though some people are operating through it, and a lot of people projecting this archetype don't even realize they're doing it. They are, they're part of the program. The program is running through them. They're being used by the outer image. Wanting to change this lighting a little bit. This is good. Okay, so that the archontic force represents our technology. It's smart. Think of smartphones, smart everything, smart everything. It's smart, intelligent supercomputers that have no connection to the goddess, wisdom. Ah, but the goddess created them. The goddess actually created them. It's part of this whole reality. Indeed, she did. We did. We create the beast, and then it overtakes us. So technology is created. I mean, it's come from through different layers, but humans create technology, and we'll go into what we're talking about that in just a minute. And now the protagonist in our story, the protagonist of the beast, the snake, the devil, is giving us the opportunity that we are the original. It's giving an original archetypes of Adam and Eve the opportunity to ascend into wisdom. No person on the outer can give this to us or can give us this knowledge. Nothing on the outside can. Eventually, everyone has to crack the code within. It is inside you. When we ate the apple, we forgot and went to play in the kingdom of desire without wisdom. We've created all sorts of interesting things, including diseases and cures, to teach us about this mirror. The underbelly of power, lust, desire, and divine love. And desire without divine love, the desire force of the lower three chakras, eventually, it's really tasty at first, but eventually it degenerates into feeling lost and victimized by our own desires. And then we have to look at them and take accountability and responsibility. And so a lot of the archetypes at this Libra full moon are really pushing personal responsibility and accountability. So this is the underbelly of power and desire without divine love. The rewards that we get here are not lasting. When we're in that frequency, they're not lasting. They come and they go. Money, fame, power, and validation that slips away. It slips through our fingers. As fast as we get it, it slips away and we're looking for more. So, as fast as it's gained, it's gone. And that's why we become overtaken with it, and we'll do anything to get more. At the highest levels, it's about power. That's what we see in our governments, and that's what we're going to talk about in just a minute. So in our governmental powers that have so much corruption, even the people you love, there's no one you can look at that, my goodness, when you look into it, it's amazing. And it's been layer upon layer upon layer till corruption was okay. And it's just built into our system. So even though this might be a good guy or this might be a good guy, we overlook the corruption because it's normalized. We expect it. We expect things to be off in this vibration. So we pick the lesser of two evils when we're looking out, because we think, well, it's not what I want, which is what I hear in this. So funny, every campaign ad, I'm not even going to get into politics, but almost all of them start out, this might not be who you want, but you need to, and I hear this on both sides, it might not be who you want. So it's embedded in what we are, how we're selling it. We sell it as something you might not want, but you have no choice. Not so. Not true. Not in this wisdom. Libra teaches us the power, the only power that can restore our connection individually and collectively to the balance of spirit and matter. The correct or wise use of the goddess power, where we are infinitely creative but informed by the highest love and pleasure. So pleasure is good, but a higher pleasure, a pleasure that sees with wisdom. Creation is really about pleasure. We came to create and experience pleasure, but we lost touch with the pleasure that is reciprocal, that mirror of Libra, the 1-1, and pleasure that really honors the devil is a chump. I love it. Okay, I'm going to speed up because I want to get to the last thing. I'm almost done here. So, a love that deepens from giving. So, the pleasure and love that deepen as we give. I think of the love of the mother. You deepen as you give as a mother in the high mother archetype, in a good way, in a healthy way. and from doing the right thing, meaning according to wisdom, just making the choice that's the highest choice, from activating true vision, and vision is one of the gifts of Saturn, which is exalted in Libra, of the goddess, the vision of the goddess. And I think of the mother child because I think the true divine archetype of the mother is so powerful and so creative and will take care of the child unconditionally and has an infinite well. Sometimes when you're learning this, you have to balance and have boundaries, but at the same time, it's a fierce love that is so creative and will love forever. It doesn't stop. It's not meant to stop. So the theme today is to create. And in the greatest chaos, oppression, and it's in the greatest chaos and oppression that the greatest artists, Libra, are activated. When we wake up by seeing what is being taken, we have only two choices, two endings, and you choose which ending you want. We each get to choose our ending. So now this is going to be fun. I'm going to take a look down. If anyone has, if you have any questions, you can put them. I forgot to answer questions in the last video, and I saw some good ones afterwards, but I'm looking right now. It looks like the chat is pretty mild, so I'll check again in a moment. Let's talk about right and left. Let's do this. So right and left. All right. Right and left. All right. So I really tuned into right and left years ago when I started working with the archetypes, because in this country where I am in the US, our right and left in politics are expressed through the colors red and blue. So we're going to talk a little bit about this wisdom, and it might just give you an understanding of what the goddess really does. So red and blue on the tree of life are polar opposites. We have Mars representing red, and blue, Jupiter representing blue. They are polar opposite of each other, and this plays out in the right and left of politics. So Jupiter, and it's a Sephiroth on the tree of life, and Mars is a Sephiroth as well. We have Chesed and Geborah. We're going to talk a little bit about those archetypes, because this is so amazing how we find these in politics, and we're going to talk about why. In the goddess report was about both wings. Right-wing politics, left-wing politics, we need to have both wings on. It's the masculine and feminine. Without the gifts of the feminine and the gifts of the masculine working together, we have chaos, war, and limited power to have a world where we're artists and where we're truly interacting on the level that we're meant to. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is a really good question about politics. Absolutely. If you are comfortable in the middle, we need people in the middle, and we need people that are balancing and not having the war of right and left, because we all know the election's coming up. Mercury's going to station direct on the day of the election. We've got so much tension building, and who knows what's really going to happen leading up to it in the US and in the entire world. There's a lot, and I'm hoping for the best for everybody. But yeah, we'll talk about that. I wanted to say something else about holding the balance. We need both. And even in this election, I mean, oh God, I don't want to get too political, but it's a crazy one. So, all right. So we have the blue and the red. We have the Mars force, fire, red, war, greed. I'm going to give you some of the negative aspects of the Mars force, the red, which would be right-wing politics. Think about it. It's patriarchal. It's the emperor. It's Mars. It's also the tower. It's got red energy, and it's Mars energy, and it's fire. And at its best, Mars is a divine gift, and it's a divine masculine energy. On the tree, it actually there in the metaphysical wisdom, it also shifts into a Holy Spirit wisdom. So it's both masculine and feminine. It's played out in the lower world as masculine. We see the gifts of this archetype of the right are structure, accountability, responsibility, the power to direct fire, to create boundaries so that they can hold the wisdom. The red energy is very good at creating systems. Think capitalism, think money, finance. It's very good at creating through limitation, which is a Saturn quality. It also is boundaries, and it's a container. So think of fire. Even though fire is uncontained, it's channeling the fire. In its lower aspects, it's about war, and it's about greed. We're not so much in wartime right now. I mean, there's war all over the world right now, but it's internal war. It's internal war when it's repressed and not used in the right way. So a lot is hidden. Even the sexual energy is hidden and channeled inward, and then it dips into the underbelly, because sex with the fire energy is there's a lot of secrets around that. But at its best, it creates a container for the water, and so that the water can be held with wisdom. And it's a power we need. It's the power to rise up and to heal ourselves. We need that power. It's power with a capital P, the fire. We'll go back and look at a couple other things, but now blue, Jupiter on the tree, water. So in Mars on the tree, on the opposite of red energy, is called severity. It's severity. Jupiter is love. So Jupiter, the blue energy, it's a feminine energy, and it's the energy of giving. It's the energy of no boundaries. It's water. It's just, think of water just running all over the place. That is the energy of meaning it. Sometimes there's some wisdom in that. Sometimes the water can run all over the place and be lost, and you're left without anything because there was no container. The energy rule, Jupiter used to rule Pisces, which is the sign of victim consciousness. So the shadow side of this divine love and expansiveness and the artist is falling into victim consciousness, where everything is either been squandered away, or there's not enough power to create the container to hold something and rise up. And so in its shadow, it becomes it loses its fertility because it doesn't have a container. However, when the land is dry and scorched, we do need a lot of water everywhere. So when the water, and we'll talk about where we're at right now, when this water needs to go everywhere, it's because it's a parched, scorched land. And so it just needs to start watering the land. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the AI. So I'm going to speed this up. All right. So what happens is, and Jupiter is infinite too, but so where we're at is, okay, so this is not to make either negative, but the under and shadow side, or the unempowered side of each one is, well, on the red side, it could be a repressed sexuality. Oh, I forgot. I know what I was going to say. Jupiter is also sex. It's sexuality. But Mars is sex too, but these are the different versions of sex. Jupiter is kind of like creative. It's a free for all. It means there's no boundaries. It means sexual energy with too much Jupiter, Jupiter can overdo a good thing. And so eventually when we're only in water energy, we get to where there's no more boundaries. And so everything's just kind of a free, there's all different things, and it becomes confusing because we can't even decide what we are. So that's not that everybody's there, but we see some of these things expressing, and then power's deflated and it's gone. So we have to bring the two back together. There's lots of things I'm missing. I'm not doing a formal on this. I plan to continue with this up through in November. Okay, religion is governed by the red side, by the Mars force in red. So it would be the political right. So what we see in the political right is we see, a lot of dogma, when it gets all the way right, it gets very condemning, judgmental. It's all literal religion. Think religion. Without insulting anyone, because we do need cultural norms and values that rise out of religious teachings. But the far, far right will come into the most dogmatic, aggressive. It will want to take away the gifts of the feminine and limit them to the point where we're starting all over again, meaning it really doesn't mind it really wants to, its darkest goal is to suppress the feminine. And so the very strictest forms, think of, the church and, in certain centuries, how powerful it was. You couldn't even speak a word against it. It's very much still aligned there. The feminine side, okay, so the red contains a feminine side too, and the blue contains a masculine side. Just like as a woman, I contain a powerful masculine within me. Both sides contain both. Jupiter has that divine love and is more the mystic, more the creative, the artist side of belief, but it can degenerate into no belief at all, because when lust takes over in Jupiter, it becomes, this is so much fun, we don't need any of that, meaning that we can't be bothered with that. So it comes to no belief at all. And so what happens is, now I'm gonna start to wrap up on this. What happens is that both sides degenerate when they're all about themselves and they're not communicating with their opposite. One of the expressions, this is just one of many, on the left, is that a lot of people can go uncared for. A lot of people slip into, it can be depression. Think of this, when Jupiter rules you in your astrological chart, it can manifest as being depressed. And there's some other things I want to say about that, but it can also be, it shifts, it alternates, and in a very tricky way, it can become its opposite. That side can absolutely start to become fascist if you look through history, you'll discover that movements start to go down and degenerate, and then it's this, then it's this, then it's this, and then boom, the opposite rises up. On the right side of things, it just squeezes for more control, more control, more control, until what is being repressed on the outer bursts inside, and it becomes, well, think of the church. Think of it. I'm just going to give one example. And I say this with a lot of love for all of us, because we're all in this together. Think about what was hidden and covered up for decades and decades in the church. That's not enough Jupiter, fun, love, and healthy sexuality. It becomes repressed and turns into abuse, attack, all these different things. But what my friend and I were talking about is that they both meet in the same place. They both meet in the underbelly without each other. They both will degenerate into the fall of wisdom, the fall of love, and the fall of power. So I'm just going to take a look down, and then we're going to go into the 3 gifts of Libra. All right. Yeah, Jupiter used to rule Pisces. Exactly. Oh. Yes. Oh, yeah, I love it. I love it. There's so much great archetypal wisdom out there. These stories are embedded in our history, in our psyche. They've been playing over and over. The archetypes are to empower us. Okay, so I just want to see, I will continue on this. I'm sure I forgot lots of things, I didn't forget, but there's just, if we had more time, there's more to go into. The video, I don't want it to be too long, because then it doesn't go through the stream. So politics of the goddess, sovereignty, sanity, self-responsibility, and pure creative power. All right, so I'm going to go into a couple of these things quickly. And by the way, I'll say this now, if you enjoy the work that's coming out here, please subscribe. If you like the video, it also helps it to get an algorithm and start to go through. So please like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe. I'd love to have you. 3 greatest Libra gifts. Listening with the art of poetry. Listen with neutrality and wakefulness, consciousness. Art, Libra. Saturn is exalted. So listening, we're in a world that's completely, there's so much being beamed at us that it's so hard to listen these days. I'm going to be talking more and more about the AI as we go, because that's the big beast in the room for both right and left. What happens is that think about it. I thought about this. It's really big. When you're not online, what are you thinking of? I would say 90% of the time now, when we're not online, we're thinking about being online. Our mind now is logged on almost permanently. Think about, are you thinking about a social media platform? Are you thinking about something you're going to look and do? Are you thinking, so human is merging with technology. Our minds now are mostly online. There's a lot that can be said about this, but in order to really access silence and listening and really tap our creative power, we have to spend some time away. Now, you can get really creative. I'm online a lot, and I'm on my phone a lot, and I do a lot of work online, but we have to take time. We have to remember our own inner voice. That's what's being taken out with all the tech, with all of our 666 stuff right now. And it's plugging us into an old program that we know. We have an ancient memory of it. So we have to these are going to be the biggest issues in the coming months and in the next year or so, the biggest issues. So listening. When you listen, you have balance. When you listen, you receive, you hear. Seek to understand Saturn, Binah, and the tree of life more than to be understood. Why? When we understand, we take the appropriate action. We speak the right words. Seek to understand. Listen, listen, listen. And your choices will level up. You'll start to ascend. Most of the time when I do something, I realize that I catch myself, I realize I wasn't listening. And sometimes we go for years. We're stuck in a pattern that blocks us, that distorts reality. We all hear something different. Everybody that hears this video will take something different from it because we're all listening through our own program. We hear through what we know, our history, our past, our mem. And we have to learn to listen with neutrality to really if Saturn's on you and you want it off and you want to use Saturn rather than be pounded with Saturn, learn to listen. Okay, the next is relationships. Whenever we want to blame another, an opportunity for us to see where we can grow and claim our power becomes lost. There's a time to blame, absolutely, but look at where we blame. It's so seductive right now and deceptive, but and we're guided into the streamlines of blame. This side will tell you to blame this side will tell you to blame that. What happens is self-responsibility gets really murky. We get bought into the narrative. I know when I'm watching so much of this stuff, I'll watch 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, whoa. It's like, I have to just take a second and remember what I know and see how easily we can be swayed by what we hear. There's basic cosmic law, which is the goodness for all human beings. Each side has a message for us. Learn to listen. And try not to blame. Try to be proactive. If we don't awaken our own inner power, it's a wasted opportunity, because this is what I'm going to talk about in just a minute. Okay. An empowered person never blames. They might call something out, but never blames. They are creating their mirror. Listen, knowing the goddess never sleeps. She's creating your reality and she never sleeps. Create your own life. Okay. So that was the third thing. I kind of tapped on it. If the world was indeed going to end, if there was going to be, a scenario coming, what would you do? What would you do if all these bad things that are being projected were really going to happen? How would you use your time right now? I would get busy. Meaning, are you going to just fall prey to what you think might happen? Are you going to take the opportunity to use this time? Love each other, create. This is what I also wanted to say, because Libra is art and the goddess. Libra also, I was thinking about music. I have a lot to say about music. I've been having a lot of downloads about music lately. Make music together with the people you love. Make your own music. Make art together. Make your family your art. Make your friends your art. Have meals together. No, there's a whole thing that's happening right now, and that's a whole other story, but treasure what happens locally. Treasure the music you sing together. Sit around. I have friends who are singer-songwriters. Sit around and play live music that isn't run through a frequency fence. Music that's purely coming from the heart, that we're sharing with each other. This is the direction we're going. This is going to be where we really remember who we are together, in person, and in gathering. I know a lot of that's happening right now because of the lockdown. A lot of people have been sharing with each other. So, okay. Oh, okay. Mercury's going to be retrograde in Scorpio. That means the underworld is being revealed. Secrets are being revealed. It's retrograde right now, and it's going to be retrograde up through the station direct the day of the election. A lot could be revealed, but it's also a good time to go inward and do the things we're talking about if they interest you. Okay, here's the secret that I want to tell you. This is the secret. It's not really a secret, but I just wrote the secret of reflectivity. The number 11, the mirror, the master changes the inner. The seed of the reflection always comes from first within. And that we work with that in Divine Feminine Astrology. That's what we're working with when we're working here. We reflect our genetic code and our DNA and our family and our race line, that we reflect that we carry in our consciousness. And so we see that as if we did nothing and just started to grow up, things that come towards us are connected to our family line, our race, our even our country. We carry, that's one of the mysteries of creation, of spirit and matter, but we carry that. It's in our blood, it's in our DNA. But we also have the ability, because we have divine free will, to create that within us and to change the program. Now, the other thing is that the outer world creates the inner world. This is big. I'm doing a lot of writing about this. I'm going to send it out in the Akashic Insight newsletter in the next couple of days. The inner creates the outer, but the outer also creates the inner. So where do you fall right now? It's the law, it's reflectivity. It's that if you're not creating, there's a saying, and I love the saying, if you don't run your own subconscious mind, somebody will run it for you. I used to say that all the time. It's one of my favorites. If you're not taking responsibility, that's what responsibility is. Whatever's out there that's pounding you the hardest or triggering you the hardest will create your program, and you will be given to create that. Trying to see if there's anything I want to add to that, and then we'll start to close. Obviously, there's many things we could say about both of these, but there's wisdom here, and that's the wisdom of the goddess report. The reflection is our karma, or it's our creative power. So change the seed if you want a different fruit. This is the time in times of chaos and turmoil, when it appear outer discord. This has been going on forever. This was not the first time humanity has been feeling the ouch. This goes on all the time. It's just, we're on the wheel. It goes from cycle to cycle, and we create this. And it's at that time that those are ready to be initiated, rise up. And so whatever part you're meant to play, now is the time. We are at a crossroads, and we as a race will decide if we are ready to evolve and step up to the next level of wisdom. Technology would like to take the place of the sacred. This is an age-old dilemma that enters into every cycle of creation. Angels versus the demons. So there's all kinds of things. I think I'm gonna just take a moment, look down, see if there's a couple things I want to say, and then we'll close out. All right, does anybody have any questions? There's some people on still, so if you would like to ask anything, I'll kind of scroll through here. I know you can feel like you're losing it. You can. It's important to be informed. I mean, I watch everything just so I know. So, and there's periods where I know I'm thinking, should I back up all the way? I kind of want to know what's out there because of where we're at right now, because there's so much archetypal energy in it. But so nice to see you. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see some of you on here today. Great. Okay. All right, so what's the closing message of this? The right and the left. Ask yourself what triggers you and what message you're meant to receive. If you want to go in one direction, this is the thing. Most people don't read and research anything anymore. Everything is given through second and third hand information, fourth hand, fifth hand. There's things to be discriminated on both sides, but that doesn't mean we don't fall. We fit more comfortable in one side or another. That's fine. I don't think this is going to determine once this election is over, and there could be a lot of chaos, but the choice of who's in, I don't believe that's the final determiner of our reality. There's something much bigger that affects both right and left. So be the goddess, be the balancer of the forces right now. And we'll continue this discussion soon. And that being said, I haven't been super active right now. I had announced that I was doing a 3-month mentorship. And I decided not to go with it because of what we're going through right now. So I'm going to start to announce that after the election, in probably mid-November. I'll start to talk about that. It is coming because many of you emailed me just to let you know it's coming a little later. There'll be a 3-month professional mentorship. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. Come join me on social media at Art of the Feminine, Shannon Port on Instagram, as well as Facebook. And I'm going to check down. I'm just waiting to see if anyone has any questions. Primal versus higher self. Well, okay, I'll answer that one question, then we'll close. Primal self. We need the instinctual self of our animal self. So this is not to discard our Lilith self. We need the animal fight or flight power. We need that. I want to say that loud and clear. Super great question to end on. We need to have our power. The power is in the underworld, and that's why we say the snake or the devil. It prods us on to gain our power, and then it becomes we use that as our energy. It's a lot of wisdom around that. We'll save it for another video. But the primal self stuck, 3D reality is stuck from 3rd chakra, 2nd chakra, 1st chakra without being united with their higher counterparts. And then there's many, many more. So primal power without wisdom, it just sinks into war, greed, sex without wisdom, and the abuse. There's all kinds of abuse that happens through sexuality. Anything you can think of, that's when we're cut off from the goddess, from wisdom. But the goddess is also the primal power. So we need a marriage of those two. Yeah, okay, yeah. We need both. We need both. Okay, so that being said, let's say I am in the 7 directions and we'll close out. Just repeating after me. I am before me. I am behind me. I am at my left. I am at my right. I am above me. I am below me. I am unto me. And take a deep breath in and hold it. Think about what's inside you, the power that you have, and then exhaling it all out. We activate the 3 levels of consciousness with I am, I know, I am. I am, I know, I am. This mantra is actually the activation of the Libra power. The mantra is the Libra power, and we'll talk more about it next time. Thank you so much for coming on live with me today. Come back and leave comments. I scroll through all the comments. And again, make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when we go live again. All right. I will see you next time. Happy new moon, new supermoon in Libra.